Lesson 2.4, Solving Quadratic Equations Using Quadratic Formula. So from our standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, we need to identify the values of our a, of our b, and our c. Then after that, we are going to use the quadratic formula. So our quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we need to know the values of our coefficients a, b, and c. Then after that, we are going to substitute to our quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Example number 1. Solve the quadratic equations 3x squared plus 7x plus 2 is equal to 0. So first, let us identify the values of our a, our b, and our c. Okay, so our a is positive 3, b is 7, c is positive 2. Then after knowing the coefficients, let us substitute to our quadratic formula. So our quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is equal to, so do not forget the negative. Then what is our b? So we have 7 plus or minus square root of, we'll just substitute. So our b is 7 squared minus 4 times our a is 3. Then our c is 2 all over 2a is 3. Okay, then we are going to simplify. So we have negative times 7 is negative 7 plus or minus square root of 7 times 7 is 49 minus 4 times 3 is 12 times 2 is 24 all over 2 times 3, that is 6. So this is equal to negative 7 plus or minus square root of 49 minus 24 is 25 all over 6. Then we will have x is equal to negative 7 plus or minus, what is square root of 25? So we have 5 all over 6. Our x sub 1 is negative 7. So we will going to take the positive plus 5 all over 6. Then for our x sub 2, we'll get the negative. So we have negative 7 minus 5 all over 6. So we have x sub 1 is equal to negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2 all over 6. So x sub 1 is equal to, simplify, write this in the lowest term, that is negative 1/3. Then for our x sub 2, so we will have negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12 over 6. So our x sub 2 is negative 2. For our checking, if x is equal to negative 1/3, so our original formula, so we have 3x squared plus 7x plus 2 is equal to 0. So we will have 3 times negative 1/3 squared plus 7 times negative 1/3 plus 2 is equal to 0. So we'll have 3 times negative is positive. 1 times 1 is 1 over 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay. Then positive times negative is negative 7 over 3. Okay. Plus 2 equal to 0. Then multiply 3 times 1, that is 3 over 9 minus 7 over 3 plus 2 is equal to 0. Then for us to eliminate the denominator, let's multiply both sides by the GCF, which is 9. Or LCD, I mean 9. So we have 9 times 3 is 27 divided by 9 is 3. Minus 9 times 7, that is 63 divided by 3, that is 21. Plus 9 times 2, that is 18. Equals 0. So 3 minus 21 is negative 18. Plus 18 is equal to 0. So negative 18 plus 18 is 0 equals 0. So that is if x is equal to negative 1/3. So what if x is equal to 2? So if x is equal to negative 2. So we have 3x squared plus 7x plus 2 is equal to 0. So 3 times negative 2 squared plus 7 times negative 2 plus 2 is equal to 0. So 3 times negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Plus 2 is equal to 0. 3 times 4 is 12. Minus 14. Plus 2 is equal to 0. 12 minus 14 is negative 2. Plus 2 is equal to 0. Negative 2 plus 2, that is 0, equals 0. Therefore, the roots are negative 1/3 and negative 2. Example number 2. Solve x squared plus 1 is equal to 0. So, this is in the form of ax squared plus c is equal to 0, where we can also use solving quadratic equations by extracting square root. But for this time, we're going to solve this using quadratic formula. So let's identify our a, our b, and our c. So a is in the quadratic term, the coefficient, so which is 1. So wala tayong bx, kaya ang ating b ay 0. Then ating c ay 1. Okay, then using our quadratic formula, so we'll have x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Then let us substitute. So we will have negative 0 plus minus square root of b is 0. So 0 squared minus 4 times our a is 1 and our c is 1. All over 2 times 1. So we have negative 0, that is 0. So we will have positive negative square root of 0 minus 4 all over 2. So equals positive negative square root of 0 minus 4 is negative 4 over 2. So at this part, you will see square root of negative 4. In reality, there's no such number as square root of negative 4. When you press your calculator, square root of negative 4, it will appear an error because there's no such number that exists. So for the sake of computation for quadratic equations, so we will introduce another type of number. So let's have x is equal to plus or minus square root of negative 4 all over 2. So let us factor negative 4. So that is equal to, or that this will become x is equal to plus minus square root of 4 times negative 1 all over 2. So we'll have x is equal to positive negative. What is square root? So we'll have square root of 4 times square root of negative 1 all over 2. So that will become x is equal to positive, negative. What is square root of 4? So that is 2 square root of negative 1 all over 2. Now, so let's have a note. So square root of negative 1 is called imaginary number. So in symbol, that is an I. Okay, so let's have, from this, so we'll have x is equal to positive negative 2 square root of negative 1, that is equal to I. So 2I all over 2. So 2 divide 2. So our x is equal to positive or negative I. So we'll have x sub 1 is equal to I. X sub 2 is equal to negative I. Checking if x is equal to I. So from our given, x squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Since x is equal to I, so that will become I squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Since I is equal to square root ng negative 1, so we will have square root of negative 1 squared plus 1 is equal to 0. So we'll have, since this is square root, we can cancel square and square root. So this is negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. 0 is equal to 0. Then, if x is equal to negative I, so we will have x squared plus 1 is equal to 0. So we'll have I squared or negative I squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Negative times negative, that is I squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Since I is equal to negative 1 or square root of negative 1, so that is square root of negative 1 squared plus 1 is equal to 0. So we have cancel the square root, cancel the square. So we have negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0 is equal to 0. So therefore, the solution is I and negative I.